What's up, crypto newbies, lovers, and experts? It's Matt with your Crypto Minute. Let's begin. A new era of money has been born. National currencies and banks have been kicked in the crotch by Silicon Valley and is about to be decapitated by Bitcoin. We are literally at a three-point standoff between government currencies, decentralized digital currencies, and corporate currencies like Facebook's Libra. Gone are the days that governments can go unchecked inflating their currencies in order to pay for a war or to steal indirectly from their citizens. Whether it's an open source, decentralized blockchain, or whether it's a corpocracy of blockchains, one thing is very clear. Banks and governments have lost the monopoly on money. The cat is officially out of the bag. A new Cold War of money has begun. The great news is this is going to revitalize the debate between individual monetary sovereignty and digital code being a form of free speech.
When I'm with you, there's no one else around. Yeah, I'm so high, gravity can't hold me down. Imagine faith and hope so alive. You got me feeling so good, 'cause baby, you're like the sun flying high on a blue sky, shining bright into the night. The stars sparkling down, yeah, diamonds and gold can't compare to your world. It's somewhere far beyond heaven and earth. When I hold you, I'm high above the clouds. Yeah, I'm so free that I don't think I'm ever coming down. Imagine faith and hope so alive. You got me feeling so good, 'cause baby, you're like the sun flying high on a blue sky, shining bright into the night. The stars sparkling down, yeah, diamonds and gold can't compare to your world. It's somewhere far beyond heaven and earth. Oh baby, you're like the sun flying high on a blue sky, shining bright into the night. The stars sparkling.
Welcome to Me, Myself, and Liberty. I'm Leslie Nesmith, and as you can tell, we have a full studio today. I am so excited. You guys have been hearing me talk about this on social media the last few days. We were talking about cryptocurrency today, and we literally have probably every expert in the state here, because I think there's precisely three, and we have all three of them. And crypto is such a, I don't want to say it's a new thing, but people are just finding out about it. So saying expert, I know, is one of those things that we're going to know so much more a year from now than we know today. So bear with us. This is going to be a very interesting conversation. So in the studio today, I have Matthew Moore. He's joining us remotely from Tulsa. And I have Bryce Crawford and Cassidy Fletcher here with Vibeland. They are here today also. So we're going to get a few different perspectives on this. I do want to remind you guys to please tag friends now, share it now, get everybody on board. We're going to talk about cryptocurrency and how it's not really all that scary. And I want you to please follow me on Parlay. That's Parler. It is sort of like Twitter, only it's actual free speech. So I'm not censored on there, which is good. And please go to support us for OTUmedia, www.patreon.com/OTUmedia, and support us and help us keep the conservative word out there. Okay, we'll be back with the three crypto experts in the state.
What's up, crypto newbies, lovers, and experts? It's Matt with your Crypto Minute. Let's begin. Facebook's global coin, or Project Libra, is a horrible idea, and it's barely a cryptocurrency. Sure, the project might use encryption, it might use a distributed ledger, and it also might have a blockchain. But guess what? It's hardly decentralized, and it's not limited. Its small governing network of nodes will be ran by some of the world's largest corporations. Corporations like Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, and Uber, giving these corporations even more power to track, censor, and sell our financial data. Money is a form of free speech and sovereignty, and the blockchain can be the greatest tool for our freedom or the greatest chains for our enslavement. It's up to us to learn the differences. Please, for goodness sake, learn the differences. Contact me at my website. I'd be glad to help you out.
Visit cdluniversity.org. At CDL University, and another success, another one drives a truck. Hey, gonna help you too, another one drives a truck.
Hey everybody, Todd Tucker here, and everyone who knows me knows I love to read a great book, and right now I'm reading this incredible novel by local author Richard Engel. All you have to do is go to LastAmericanPresident.com and save big right now on this book. The Last American President is a story about political intrigue, romance, betrayal set against the backdrop of the dissolution of the United States of America. It's great reading, and when you go to LastAmericanPresident.com, use the promo code OTU, you're going to save money. And not only that, but half the price comes back to OTU. So half the proceeds from this book come back so you can watch great programming like you see on the OTUmedia network every day. LastAmericanPresident.com. I highly recommend this book. Read it today.
Welcome back to Me, Myself, and Liberty. We are talking about cryptocurrency today. Again, it is not a scary thing. It is not the mark of the beast, according to your grandma. It is an actual thing. So we have Matthew Moore here today. He's joining us remotely. He's the president of the Young Businessmen of Tulsa. He's also the owner of Causeway LLC. We have Bryce Crawford and Cassidy Fletcher here with Vibeland, and you guys are here in Oklahoma City, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more here in just a little bit. Okay, Matt, tell us a little bit about you, what you do, and why you're here talking about crypto.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. This is a real honor. For me, what I do on a day-to-day basis is I help people fundraise, and I consult in that arena, especially with nonprofits. But I'm also the president of the Young Businessmen of Tulsa, and because of my interest in business and monetary policy, a lot of this stuff with cryptocurrency has gotten my attention early on, and I've just become obsessed with it. And the reason why I'm here talking about it today is because I consult with people, I help them understand it, I help them get into the space, but I want them to realize that it is not scary. This could be one of the greatest tools for our freedom. I mean, for monetary individual sovereignty. People don't realize the value of it.
All right. Well, so you guys with Vibeland, so tell me a little bit about Vibeland, what you guys do.
Indeed. So Vibeland is a blockchain technology company here in the OKC metro area. And what we are looking to do is allow artists, entrepreneurs to take back ownership of their data. So for too long, we have Facebook, Instagram, on all these social media platforms. Well, what really makes up those social media platforms is the content creators themselves. That's what provides all the value. And therefore, Vibeland's policy, what we're looking to do is to be able to monetize that through the use of cryptocurrency. So for people to take back ownership of the data that they're uploading, the value. You may see Instagram and Facebook go turn around and sell your data, and be making money off of your own personal data as opposed to you being able to get compensated for that.
Okay. All right. So I know the audience, your head is probably about to explode right now, but I promise we're gonna explain this stuff to you, or we're not there. And then we're going to do another follow-up show here in a couple of weeks to make sure everyone can grasp it. All right, so Matthew, for you, the number one question I have gotten is, what is cryptocurrency? So that question's for you.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people get confused because they hear the word cryptocurrency, they hear the word Bitcoin, or they might hear the word of another crypto, and they don't understand the nature of it. And really, to break it down first, there are three types of cryptocurrencies currently. And a lot of people mistake every one of them as a type of currency. When in reality, some are a type of security that you would typically have, like with stock or company debt, and having shareholders holding ownership of this stuff. And then you've got the currency aspect of it, which acts like money. And then you've got a utility token, which acts like a coupon or a ticket for an ecosystem. And so I think that's why a lot of people get kind of confused about it as they start to learn a little bit about it. But there is a underlying technology called blockchain that makes these things possible, and it's a distributed ledger type of technology that's continually in consensus. And I can go down the list, and I can tell you the value and the advantages and why Bitcoin specifically is valuable as a currency and as a store of value. And I'm just going to stick on that at the moment because I don't want to go over people's heads. And I could jump into the technology side of it, and I could talk about a couple of bullet points. But I've got 13 items here that I'm just going to briefly go through so that you guys can conceptualize why Bitcoin is valuable, why is it money, and why is it currency, and why it's important to our freedom. First of all, it is both a payment system and a currency. It is a peer-to-peer system. It is truly the first unconfiscatable asset in this earthly realm that is known to man. It gives you monetary sovereignty. It's censorship resistant. It's permissionless. You don't need to get permission from anybody to use it or buy it necessarily. It's borderless. It's decentralized. It's a hedge against a broken financial system. And it has similar properties to gold for the digital world. There can only be 21 million of them made, so there is scarcity. There's supply and demand that goes into this equation. It's the world's strongest and biggest, securest network in the world. In 2014, it had the computing power of the top 500 supercomputers combined, and that was in 2014. And as the network continues to grow, it becomes even more secure. It's essentially the first global currency that can be sent anywhere in the world without permission in a matter of minutes. And it's going to do for money what the internet did for information. And people have to realize that we are at a turning point. We're at a revolution, really. And if you don't think that an unconfiscatable asset, limited in supply, built on the world's most secure network, is valuable, then I don't know how else to convince you.
Yeah. All right. So it's like one of those infomercials. All right, sign me up. Where do I buy? Okay. All right. So let me ask you guys something. So to the audience, what is Bitcoin used for? Or what is cryptocurrency used for?
Really anything that you want to use it for. So it can be a transaction just between two peers right here. If we decide that we want to exchange a cup of coffee for a certain fraction of a Bitcoin, we could do that right here on our pull out a phone and do it instantly. Go on your computer, or you can purchase anything online. Today or yesterday, I was looking at renewing a VPN license for our company, and you can pay for it right there in Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. So it's a store of value, and really just anywhere you can use a credit card, anything that cash can be used for, you can use Bitcoin in the exact same way.
Right, indeed. It's a peer-to-peer transaction network, and therefore about anything under the sun you can use it for. And I think that's something that is interesting about Bitcoin is it breaks down to 8 decimal points, whereas most currencies like the United States dollar breaks down just to 2, down to a penny, right? Whereas you are able to fractionalize Bitcoin to a much greater degree than previous monetary or fiat currencies.
Okay. So for you, Matt, is it a coin? This is one thing that when it first came out, my dad trying to understand why I would spend $1,600 on a coin. It was like, that's an expensive coin.
So is the question, is it a physical coin?
The term Bitcoin, it's not a coin. It's just like
So the term coin is used primarily so people can visualize and understand the concept of moving money across the ledger. It is not a physical asset that you can actually hold in your hand, but neither are the numbers in your bank account. And so people need to realize that just because it is a code and numbers that's distributed globally that people are using, they have to get over this mindset of not being able to touch it. Now, I get it's hard for people to conceptualize that, and I always encourage them to hold assets that are tangible as well. But what this is going to allow for a ever increasing world that has compounding and exponential growth in technology, the limits of it are going to be almost to the sky because it's going to do things that we can't even fathom right now that we're going to use it for. But I think people need to get over this idea that if it's not physical, if I can't touch it, it doesn't have value. I mean, people they say, why should I buy Bitcoin? Because it's not a company. It's not going to produce any dividends for me necessarily. They don't make anything. Well, Bitcoin is not a company. There's no CEO. There's no person to subpoena. It is a truly an internet money. And you know what? It's I'm sorry. Were you going to say something? I felt like
no. Actually, what I was going to say is okay, because I know that you for our audience, Matt has a meeting that he's got to go to here in just a little bit. So one thing I do want you to speak to specifically, because I want to make sure we get this in, is one thing you talk about is the history of money, and you have to understand money in order to understand the value of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. Can you give us a 1 or 2 minute just kind of explanation of that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so much easier for people to understand why Bitcoin is so valuable in this new digital age that's coming before us, and that is if you understand monetary history and how the money that we use today and how it works, and how every 30 or 40 years we have some kind of default or reset where we're using a new system, and how every fiat paper money system that's based that doesn't have anything behind it with intrinsic value eventually goes to zero because the government finds it too easy to print into oblivion. You have to realize that when the dollar is created, the U.S. Federal Reserve note, it's unconstitutional. It's not the money that our founding fathers signed us up for. It was gold and silver originally because it was limited in supply. It was hard to create this debt-based system, and there was a big debate about using central banks and using bills of credit. And so when the United States government borrows, essentially, I'm going to put this in a nutshell because there's a lot of moving pieces and parts to it. But the U.S. government will borrow money from the Federal Reserve indirectly through a shell game between the banks and issuing bonds and all this stuff. Essentially, what happens is every dollar that's created into existence, there's interest on that dollar. So there's always more debt in the system than there is currency. So if you bring in the first dollar into existence and you owe interest on that, where are you going to get the extra dollar to pay for that interest? Well, you have to borrow again. So eventually it goes into hyperinflation, and if they make any concerted effort to pay off that debt, it has a risk of going into a deflationary collapse. Because again, there's more debt than there is currency, and debt and currency act like antimatter, and they get rid of each other. So, and it's also important to know that we as citizens, we pay taxes, okay? Those taxes, most of those taxes end up going to the Federal Reserve to pay the interest on that money that we borrowed. And the Federal Reserve actually has shareholders, which they then make a percentage of that money, of that payment that we have made to them. And so what happens is the people who receive the money first, the banks and the governments and the contractors, whoever gets this money first has the purchasing power of that money before it actually goes into the system, and there's a velocity of money, and the marketplace hasn't had time to adjust for the new money supply. So what eventually happens is there's a wealth transfer from the middle class to an elite few, and that's why I'm so passionate about Bitcoin, is because it puts the power and monetary sovereignty and store of value back in our hands as the people.
Yeah, it sounds like our system of money here in the United States, actually the world, is just a big Ponzi scheme.
It is.
So,
It really is.
it really is. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a break, and when we come back, I want to ask you guys, why not use an ATM or credit card? Okay.
Sure.
All right. So we'll be back in just a few minutes.
Introducing all new, safe, natural relief. A cannabinoid-rich, clarity and focus formula with 17 essential supplements. When it matters most, you've got a job to do. Anxiety isn't an option. Programmed to keep you moving. A product exclusively manufactured for Active Duty RX by Cantech Labs.
When I'm with
All right, welcome back to Me, Myself, and Liberty. And we are talking about cryptocurrency today. This is a great show, very enlightening. I'm learning a lot. It is definitely it'll blow your mind. Okay, so before the break, we're talking about why not use an ATM card or credit card. So why use cryptocurrency?
Sure. I think that's a really good question. And I think that one of the primary things I would say is the ability to transact in cryptocurrency so quickly. So I believe Bitcoin transactions take somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 seconds or so, depending on a few things. And whereas you may have to drive to an ATM, it may or may not be compatible with your bank. Then they're going to charge you a giant fee to get your own money out of your bank account. And then at that point, you might have some cash in your hand. And so I think that's one of the many reasons is being able to eliminate the fees. And then you consider that when going across the border or going on vacation. You travel to India on business. And somebody has to exchange their currency once they get off their flight. They're going to get hit with a giant exchange fee, or if you do it at the hotel, it's even larger. Whereas with cryptocurrency, we have the capability of transferring your money between United States dollars and I believe it is rupees, if I'm not mistaken, in India. But point is that we can transfer money across borders for much cheaper than any Visa, MasterCard, any of the large credit card corporations out there. So I think that's one of the many reasons for sure.
Okay. And Matthew, so why is cryptocurrency, why is it so volatile? Is it like the stock market? Is it not like the stock market?
So the volatility of cryptocurrency, there's a couple of factors that play in. First, it is an emerging asset class. We have never seen anything like this in the world in our history. And so what we're seeing is the marketplace trying to find the true value of this thing, and it's going up and down. And the one thing that I want to tell people is, if you can't stomach the volatility, like, give it a couple of years. We're going to get to the point to where the world is going to find the true value of this. And you have to look at the market capitalization of this as well. It's a very small market. In fact, we're not even to $1 trillion when we were at the height of 2017, when one Bitcoin was $18,000 to $20,000. And when you look at the dot-com boom, which was primarily just wealth from America, when all these people were investing in the internet companies, the market capitalization of that was $6.7 trillion. Okay, And cryptocurrency is not an American thing. It is a global thing. People are investing into this stuff around the world. Financial institutions are building products around this now. Governments are talking about it. The potential for growth and the potential for more money to come into this system is unbelievable. We're still in the first inning, okay? We have a long ways to go.
I would also say that there's a lot of governments right now out there that are actually integrating some form of cryptocurrency into their government. Estonia, you can vote on the blockchain. Ohio, in America, you can pay your taxes in Bitcoin. So we're starting to see it get a lot more recognition from traditional power systems that are also very slow to fully adopt what Bitcoin and what other cryptocurrencies are able to do, because they're afraid of losing power.
Yeah, one thing that I'll say is you really do, like Matthew was saying about stomaching the volatility, is if you made your first big purchase right before the last big plummet, you probably were pretty discouraged after that. But that's what it's when you talk about the stock market and you talk about blue chips versus the more volatility, the higher the opportunity there is for greater wealth. It's not the stock market, and I don't want to confuse anyone, but you kind of have to yeah, please.
I just want to add to that real quick. People look at the volatility of it, and they look at the all-time highs, and they're like, oh, this is a crappy store of value. Like, why would you put your money in this? You're going to lose it all. Well, you know what? Bitcoin's been around for 10 years, and you have to look at the all-time lows and not the all-time highs, okay? Every year, the Federal Reserve, their goal is 2% inflation. So every time you hold your money in the bank account, you lose value, okay? Bitcoin, in its 10-year history, the all-time low in 2012 was $4. In 2013, it was $75. In 2014, it was $200. In 2015, it was $185. In 2016, it was $365. And in 2017, it was $780. And in 2018, it was $3,200. Sure, it has 80% drops, but it always is making higher lows.
Did you guys hear the story about the guy that early on, how he bought a Papa John's pizza? Did you hear about that, Matthew? The guy that bought the Papa John's pizza, and it was like for, I don't even know, hundreds of Bitcoin. Like he would be like a billionaire now. I mean, it's crazy.
Right.
Oh my gosh, it's just nuts. And I try to get people, I talk to my family and friends, and I try to articulate it as best I can, not being an expert. Why you hold on to it when it takes a sharp spike up. You don't sell it. You don't do that. You want to hang on to it. When it plummets, much like the stock market, you buy low. So you don't want to start offloading it when it goes down. And this is, I feel like I should have a disclaimer here, like, I'm not responsible for your financial decisions or anything, but for those of you who are hesitant or maybe thinking about it, I will give you a piece of advice, and that is the same as if you are buying, stock. You only spend what you can afford to lose.
Indeed, I think that's great advice.
Yeah, you have to think about that. So if you're going to invest $500, you have to be prepared to lose that as if it went out the window. Now, in my opinion, that's not going to happen. But you only spend what you can afford to lose, because we don't want people jumping off of buildings and things like that, like the stock market crash.
And that being said, I think that cryptocurrency can add a very valuable complement to anyone's portfolio.
Yeah.
I think that a primary thing that a lot of Wall Street investors may say is diversify your portfolio with maybe 10% cryptocurrency. And maybe not just Bitcoin, maybe even diversify into some of these other assets that are also on the cryptocurrency market as well.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So for you, Matthew, before you have to go, so address this. Can Bitcoin or can cryptocurrency, I should say, can it just be deleted?
Can it be deleted? No, that's the yeah. Well, you can lose it because of you not being responsible for your wealth. Essentially, if you lose your seed phrase or your private key, because the system has a public key and a private key. One is for receiving, one is for sending, okay? if you lose that information and you are the sole holder of that, because it's monetary sovereignty, you have to hold it yourself. If you lose that, that money is no longer accessible on the ledger. So there is that risk involved in it, but you have to take that responsibility. As far as the network goes, being able to be deleted, it is almost impossible in the sense that you could send every bureaucrat, every politician, every government to go after Bitcoin and after the people who are running the full nodes, the ledger, and smash every copy of it. But as long as there's one copy left, it can reproduce itself a trillion times over. So the one thing I say is, if we have a solar flare that's a global event, which is like I don't even think is possible because one side of the Earth is not going to be facing the sun. Then yeah, you might have a situation where the network is completely gone or fried or not accessible. But in essence, the likelihood of anything like that ever happening is almost none.
Okay. All right. So, and whoever wants so I use Coinbase. So people always want to know, where can they buy it? So what is you guys tell me what your preference is, and then Matthew, you tell me yours.
So Coinbase is definitely the Facebook of cryptocurrency right now. They are industry leaders. Another exchange that I like to, because Coinbase only offers about 8 to 10 assets on their platform. I believe that Binance is another really good one, or Binance, as some people may pronounce it. But that's another industry-leading platform that's well trusted and well established. In fact, Binance Coin is a top 12, top 15 total market cap coin. So they're very important to the industry, and I believe that they're tried and proven from what I've seen. So that's who I utilize at least the most.
Yes, and I would just add to that: go with someone that you trust. Coinbase is huge, and they handle a lot of transactions. And just about any time that you're going to take money off the market or put it on, generally people will go through Coinbase because it is so trusted, and because they have all the legal framework and everything around it that makes it where it's compatible with really anything you're going to try to do. So Coinbase is a very good product out there. Again, like Bryce said, though, it's just limited in scope on what you can actually buy from Coinbase, but you could get into the market on Coinbase and then transfer that to a different wallet on I also use Binance as a good one. CoinGecko is another good exchange that I've used and have found it to be very trustworthy. So
Okay, and Matthew, what do you say?
Yeah, I agree with them on everything that they said. One thing I would add, though, and I'm also not promoting illicit activities, but if you do want to stay away from the KYC and AML laws and stuff like that, you could just buy it from somebody who already has some. Download a wallet that doesn't require KYC. My Local Bitcoins has been a real popular one in the past. And then even buying it from a miner who's mining the stuff. You can do that as well. You can trade it, sell something for Bitcoin. There's multiple ways you can get it without actually having to go through systems like Coinbase, but I also use Coinbase.
and purchase it through from whoever you like, and so you can just skip all of any kind of regulation. That is a thing that is possible now. So
Wow, gosh, there is
Yeah.
so much to this. I can tell that we're going to have to do a whole series on this. Okay, so Matthew, before you have to go, I want to make sure that our audience knows where to find you. Anything that you want to share? Any upcoming events? Do you speak at things? I want to make sure that all of you guys have a chance to talk about this.
Yeah, I actually really enjoy talking about crypto and monetary policy and stuff like that. I spoke at the Tulsa University Republicans Club. There's been other people who've requested it, but it's not been a very popular thing yet because people just don't understand it yet. I think once we hit that threshold, I'll probably get more requests. But you can go to cryptomore.com, and I set up, I consult people. You can set up a consultation there. And you know what? You can message me through there. But yeah, you can also find me on Instagram, CryptoMore. I post 1 minute videos quite frequently, so they're kind of entertaining and funny.
Crypto More, Moore, right? So
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
cryptomore.com.
All right, we'll try to make sure we get the website up also. Okay, so cryptomore.com. Anything else you want to share before you have to head out?
That's really it. I just enjoyed the conversation. Thanks for having me on.
I hope that you will come back because
Oh, yes.
we are not scratching the surface today. There's still so much. I know that the audience is going to be like, but wait, tell us more. Okay, tell us more. Ha ha, ba-bum, ching, more. MOORE, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, well, I appreciate you joining us today, and I'm going to continue the conversation with these guys, and we'll have you back on.
All right, thanks so much.
Matt, enjoyed talking to you. Thank
Great
you.
to meet you, Matt.
All right, and I think we might be at a point where we need to take a break.
Mhm.
All right, so we'll take a quick break, and then we'll be right back.
Introducing all new, safe, natural relief. A cannabinoid-rich, clarity and focus formula with 17 essential supplements. When it matters most, you've got a job to do. Anxiety isn't an option. Programmed to keep you moving. A product exclusively manufactured for Active Duty RX by Cantech Labs.
Greetings. Salutations. This is Moto with OTUmedia, here to tell you about the latest product on our shelves. If your boyfriend doesn't have a beard, then you have a girlfriend. Do you need a beard growth formula that's radio frequency programmed for maximum bioavailability? Then you need Bud Brothers Beard Co.'s Beard Growth Formula. Find it at the OTU Media store at www.oklahomataxpayersunite.com/OTU-store and continue to support OTU Media and Oklahoma Taxpayers Unite.
Okay, welcome back to Me, Myself, and Liberty. And since we are talking about money, I figured this would be a great time to plug our Patreon. Please go to patreon.com/OTUmedia and support us, support this program and our cause. As you guys know, we're out there every day on the front lines fighting the conservative cause, or fighting for the conservative cause, not fighting the conservative cause. We do have an election coming up in 2020 that we need to be geared up for, so we need all of the support that we can get. All right. So Matthew stepped out. He had to go to a meeting, and we appreciate him. We'll have him back on again along with you guys. Okay, so tell us who tracks cryptocurrency.
Okay, so with cryptocurrency, Matt had mentioned, that it is recorded on an immutable public ledger, which means that nobody can essentially fudge the books. Like everything that used to be behind the scenes in, dark rooms with corporations is now on an immutable public ledger. So what that means for you is transparency, which translates into accountability. So now we're able to hold these networks, these companies accountable through this transparency. So that being said, it is one of the most encrypted, secure networks to also transact on. But to more directly answer your question, who's tracking it? It could be anybody and everybody on the network, but you also have the ability to interact anonymously as well on the network. As the government may have mentioned, malicious actors, maybe transacting in the shadows, you can transact anonymously on the network as well, but those transactions are still recorded on a public ledger.
Gotcha.
And even your most public transactions, no one's going to know who it is unless you tell them who it is. It's going to be a 20-something alphanumeric code that just looks like a bunch of gibberish if you don't really know what you're looking at necessarily. And it's that code sent X amount of Bitcoin to another person that's just represented by a code. And so that's the way you can track everything. It's crazy that it's something that transparent can be that secure as well. And that's what I think, for me at least, it took me the longest to fully comprehend what the blockchain really was and what's going on behind the scenes. Because you're putting every transaction up front. It's like, well, how can that be secure? But they do that because you have your private key, and nobody else should ever have that. And it's, again, taking back that sovereignty over your own currency, like Matt was saying earlier as well.
Okay. So one of the questions that I get is, what about the IRS? Okay. So I'm gonna pose it like that. What about the IRS?
I'm going to first say that that's from my understanding a giant gray area. I sometimes equate it to leave a nickel like next to the coffee jar if you take coffee, or something like that. I feel like it's really based on a trust system, and now they have put.
I trust the IRS, all right.
Sure.
So they should trust me.
And so I believe that they have yet to put out any regulatory legal framework, or we're looking to the SEC also to provide us some sort of guidelines to operate by here in the United States. And until they provide, nobody can understand the tax code as it's written, as it is. And so now they're trying to add, cryptocurrency on top of that and expect people to understand it. Of course, they're going to allow people in Ohio to pay them in Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah.
Yet they are going to slander it, at every other turn. Example being like maybe Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan Chase. For the longest time, for the past couple years, I've watched him day in, day out slander Bitcoin and different cryptocurrencies and this technology, all while JP Morgan is issuing their own cryptocurrency asset in the background, and then all of a sudden one day it switches. CNBC, Jamie Dimon, oh yeah, Bitcoin, yeah, it's actually it has asset value. So it's interesting to watch things change as quickly as they do sometimes.
Yes, and it really has. So did you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
There's really, I think the speed at which all of these regulations and everything are coming is something that is an unknown right now. We don't know if the next session of Congress that the United States is going to put out a legal framework that we need, or if it's going to be 5, 10, 20 years down the road, or maybe it just stays unregulated like it is right now. Because a lot of times, we like to joke that it's the wild, wild west out there right now. And there's a whole lot of people who are trying to figure out what the best framework for this would be from a legal standpoint. But right now, there's just so many different conflicting opinions from the powers that be that really don't know which way it's going to go one way or the other right now.
And I'm sitting here begging the government, don't regulate us out of the country.
Please.
All these other crypto projects, have to go relocate to Switzerland. It doesn't matter. A whole bunch of different places. So don't regulate us out of the country. And they hadn't yet. So we shall see.
Yeah. One of the other, questions or thoughts that I hear is, what if the economy tanks? Does this, how does that affect cryptocurrency? And I know that you guys are going to have an opinion on this too. One of the things that I tell people, and this is maybe partially in my ignorance, ignorance is bliss, is that, you want to have cryptocurrency. I think that everybody that should have some. But I also believe that they should have gold and silver and have some cash and have some, you have IRAs and you have other, assets and things like that. I think diversifying is good. And of course, for when, Armageddon comes and the stuff hits the fan, I've got to watch what I say. Got to have your ammo and your liquor and your cigarettes to sell to people too. So what if the economy tanks? So that's a question that we get.
I think really that this all came from Bitcoin was created immediately following the financial collapse. So I think this was really in response to what happened in 2008 and with part of the Occupy Wall Street movement. It had a little bit to do with where all this was popping up and where it came from. Still nobody knows who really made it. It's just an anonymous name that we don't even know if it's multiple people or one person. But I think that Bitcoin in particular was created so that even if everything else does collapse, there's a shared set of value, a currency that everyone else can interact with, where we don't have to rely on the banks and the government institutions, because we've seen time after time they just fail at really remarkable levels, and it's the average citizen that ends up paying the cost for it. And this was a direct opposition to that, saying no, now there is no person in charge. It's a decentralized network, and so really you can't take down if the network goes down, then that's probably because there's no more people on the network, and that's a whole different kind of Armageddon that we don't really want to see.
Yeah, and I believe that, like Cassidy said, it was created in direct opposition to centralized authority. So that's what's exciting about the tech, I believe, for maybe many of your viewers. And I also think that Bitcoin itself is going to be able to be influential for some period of time going forward. It is what I consider the future of work. And this is the new age stock market. It's the Web 3.0. So I would diversify while we are in like a transition period, to this new age, digital age, where even our currency is now, digital. And much like Matt said earlier in the program, the potentiality is limitless. So I like to sometimes talk about the total market cap of the global GDP or whatever. That's the potentiality of it. There's nothing that it cannot be used for. So I believe it's incredibly exciting, connecting people to the global economy.
And I'll just add on there, think of where the internet was in 1994. And people going on television and were trying to explain what it was, and they didn't know what an email address was. Well, think about where we are now, and you almost can't interact without the internet. Well, I think that cryptocurrency is going to do the same thing for the financial system, and we're just now seeing people are saying, what in the world is a Bitcoin? And then 20 years from now, we're going to look down the road and realize that it's fundamentally revolutionized the way that everyone transacts with each other.
Yes, good information. Okay, well, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, I want to talk to the audience, and I want you guys to give some advice or guidance to people who are considering jumping into cryptocurrency, okay?
Indeed.
All right,
Sounds
we'll be
good.
right back. Hi, I'm Leslie Nesmith, host of Me, Myself, and Liberty right here on OTUmedia. I'd like to ask you to go to www.patreon.com/OTUmedia to support us. By going to patreon.com, you are supporting everything that we do here at OTU Media and Oklahoma Taxpayers Unite. We are getting the word out, so join us.
Hello, you! Are you looking for a veteran-owned and operated company on a mission to provide affordable quality firearms gear and training? Well, we've got some friends and fellow warriors over at artillerynation.com that can get you and your troops squared away today. Check them out on Facebook at Artillery Nation LLC or visit artillerynation.com to check out their custom Cerakote projects, firearms training, and t-shirts to show your support for veterans everywhere. Semper.
Welcome back to Me, Myself, and Liberty. We are continuing our discussion about cryptocurrency. Okay, so I have a question from one of my Facebook friends. So he said, do you believe the current administration's stance on cryptocurrency will hinder the growth of it? And then he asked, or do you think it will do the exact opposite and makes people more aware of it? And this was a question I meant to ask Matt too, because he actually had some pretty strong things to say on this. So, so maybe Matthew, if you're watching, you can go in and comment in the comments and share. But so, any thoughts on that?
So right now, it's certainly providing plenty of publicity to cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. So that's exciting. However, the administration's current stance, I see much as being maybe, as I referred earlier to, Jamie Dimons before they issued their own asset. They're definitely hedging, they have a lot of conventional wealth to protect. And so the administration stance, I would expect nothing less. In fact, it almost seems favorable to the fact that they have not regulated us out of the country yet. Is a very good thing. It's actually United States is kind of weighing in there on the international scale in the middle of crypto friendly places. So that's good. Government's not kicking in cryptocurrency marketplaces yet, like they are in some Asian countries. So I believe that ultimately it will provide probably more growth to the crypto market. Where if Trump keeps tweeting about it, I would imagine it's just going to help us grow as a market.
I agree with that. That right now the information that's out there and what the administration's stance really is, I don't think we're getting the full picture of everything that's coming down the road. Because, like Bryce alluded to, I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 5-10 years we're going to see the United States government get into some form of blockchain or some sort of cryptocurrency project.
Anything the government gets involved in, they screw it up.
Exactly.
Indeed. And that's kind of the beauty of blockchain, is that we're able to take a lot of the government out of the actual governing. Now we can have technology govern. That's what this is like a governing technology. So it's most popularly used as a voting mechanism, the network voting mechanism, much like shareholders. Everybody who holds, a cryptocurrency has a vote. And so, as Cassidy referenced earlier, Estonia, say for example, has put 90% of their government, government issue IDs, voting. That's how you vote. And so it's not verified by somebody at your polling station and then the Republican, whoever. It's verified simply by technology. And there are countries that have already implemented this. So hopefully the United States may get around to it a little sooner than 10 years, but I would probably put it around 10 years.
Yes. But I think for now, any kind of publicity that the crypto markets get is ultimately good publicity. Just if one more person learns about it and is able to educate themselves or get educated on what this market really is and the potential and for the future, then that's when people start getting on board. I think right now a lot of people are just kind of like, I don't really know what that is, and so I'm going to stay away a little bit.
I think that's the case, and they're going to decide to get in when it's at 20,000.
Sure.
Coin.
And I'm sure many of your viewers probably remember when Facebook banned crypto ads, and then a few months later they issued their cryptocurrency. So
isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Okay. So what advice do you guys have for the audience that if they're considering getting into cryptocurrency, what should they do? What should they consider?
I would definitely say educate yourself as much as possible. Watch some simple info, couple minute videos on YouTube explaining what blockchain is. And I would stay within the top 10 to 20 market cap crypto assets. So that includes, assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, EOS, Stellar. I believe that's a good place to enter the market. And those are all very legitimate products that have a great deal of value going forward. So I would imagine that that's a good place to start, and then you can further educate.
Yes, and also I would say look for any projects that are actually trying to put something out there. They're not just a coin for the sake of creating a coin. If they have a white paper out that explains exactly what they've laid out, their business plan, that is really the business plan of the future, is white papers on websites and everything. And read those. They tell you everything about what you're about to be invested in and the project that's on behind that currency. And that's where I think their value really is just picking whichever one you like or that interests you. There's so many different sectors that are out there right now that you can choose from, and just the more that you learn, I think the more that everyone realizes, like, oh my goodness, this is really something here that everybody wants to get on board, and you start telling all your friends about it and get everybody signed up on it. So
what do you guys, just right fast, what are your thoughts on the Facebook currency?
I believe it's exciting. It's exciting for the market because it shows that the market is beginning to undergo mass adoption. So when players like IBM, Walmart, JP Morgan, Facebook start entering the market, that means that things are about to start swelling up, in my opinion. And so I'm excited because it will be exchangeable with, say our token, for example, VBLD. And so exchanging it with multiple assets is exciting. So
And not getting off into the weeds too much,
Mm-hmm.
but one of the things, Matthew had done a video on is he did talk about it, and it was kind of like it's exciting, but then there was a but, and that is it is Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
and you do have the privacy issues and that kind of thing. So it's
yes, and that's, I know in their white paper they have said that after 5 years they're going to be 99% decentralized, and that's kind of these first 4 or 5 years that they issue. Libra is the name of their coin that they're coming out with, and Calibra is the wallet that they're introducing first into. You're going to see that everywhere, and I think that we're about to see what Facebook really is all about. I think this is their chance at kind of redemption.
Right.
I think they're going to.
And I'm glad you mentioned the data privacy issue. Hence why they had to release their cryptocurrency before, say, Amazon or any of these other large corporations. They had a data privacy issue, and the way to resolve that is implement the most well-encrypted technology network that you can think of, and that's what they call Libra now. And so I think it helps them a great deal with PR.
But I still don't trust Facebook at
Me either.
all. So, for the record.
Me either. Okay, so for the audience, where can they find you, and what services do you guys offer?
Cassidy, you're the professional
Sure.
at this.
Because you guys have a couple of different things.
Yes.
Feel free to give yourself a shameless plug here.
So you can find out more about Vibeland and the Vibeland project at vibeland.io. That's VIBELAND. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube at Vibeland Inc. And we offer a network right now that we are about to go live with, and we're going to have our ICO coming up here in a couple of weeks, and it's just an exciting time right now for what Vibeland is doing. We have our own currency. Bryce mentioned it, VBLD, Vibeland Digital, and it's a creative network that entrepreneurs and creative people and musicians and really anyone that wants to get involved can come in and be part of the Vibeland network. We also do digital media and marketing. Mentioned there's a music aspect of what we do as well. We have a studio built right in the middle of our HQ, is what we call it. And so we're running a couple of podcasts out of there as well. So if you're interested more in kind of blockchain technology and some other things that we get into, that's the Vibe podcast. And then we run a sports-based one called Vibeland Sports.
Cool. Okay. Well, I definitely want to have you guys back. I think having the three of you on was really interesting, and we'll have to do it again because I know there's going to be a lot of questions that out of this.
Indeed, there's a lot to cover,
Yeah.
and it's relevant to the future, so I believe it's quite important.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on,
Thank
guys.
you so much for
Thank
having
you.
us. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yes. All right. Well, I'll be right
Enjoy.
back.
Over 20 years ago, Alex Jones created the media platform called InfoWars, and in the decades since, it's grown into a truly remarkable institution with over 200 radio affiliates. tens of millions of unique website visitors monthly, and a 24/7 live news TV channel broadcasting from state-of-the-art studios in Austin, Texas. InfoWars has become the most trusted independent news source in the country, dedicated to delivering breaking news, live coverage of special events, and exclusive reports you won't find anywhere else. While the old guard media struggles to maintain supremacy in a landscape rocked by innovation and technology, InfoWars has been at the forefront of the information revolution. From 8 million radio listeners, over 2 million YouTube subscribers, or the billions of views of our online content, InfoWars proves dominant in every facet of media we enter. For the hardest-hitting reports, uncompromising analysis, for high-profile interviews and bombshell revelations, accept no substitutes. Demand truth. Demand InfoWars. InfoWars. Tomorrow's news today.
This is undoubtedly the most important broadcast we've ever done.
All right, welcome back. I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. This was a lot of information, I know. But like I said, I will try to do another show, or I will do another show here in a couple of weeks. So please comment with any questions that you have or message me directly. And I want to tell you how you can reach me. So I mentioned earlier Parlay. So it's spelled P-A-R-L-E-R, Parlay. It operates a lot like Twitter. So please follow me there, and it's a free speech platform, so us conservatives aren't going to be censored on there. Also, very important, please go to patreon.com/OTUmedia. This is a way that you can support us and help us get the conservative word out there. Also, specifically for my program, so one, I have a Facebook page, Me, Myself, and Liberty. So if you could go there and like my page and share it, that'd be awesome. But if you are a business owner or you have a product, I really love made in Oklahoma products and that kind of thing. But if you have a product that you would like to feature on my program, I can show it, I can demonstrate it, I can sample it, talk about it, promote it. Obviously, if it's junk, I'm not going to, sorry. But if I like it, I'm looking for a couple of sponsors specifically that I can talk about their product on my show, and we can even produce commercials for you and that kind of thing. So I would love to work with you. I'm very pro small business, conservative businesses, and veteran-owned businesses are definitely at the top of my list. So. All right, so join me next week. I have a special guest who's going to be here. So I will see you guys next week. Thanks for joining us.